Well, ladies and gentlemen, the bad news just keeps coming out for Sweet Baby Inc. and now their most recently developed game, Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. The main character that was race swapped from a white female to a black androgynous looking female. Remember that game? Well, yeah, that game apparently has finally released and nobody is literally talking about it in any sort of good press. We have an article here from That Park Place with a headline that reads, Sweet Baby Inc. developed Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, releases to absolutely abysmal player numbers.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we already knew this was going to be a thing, right? When we looked at Flintlock Siege of Dawn and we looked at the gameplay trailer, it was extremely average, okay? I'm talking about probably, if I'm being fair, a slightly below average, right? It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But what I'm saying is that this thing is so damn average to try to pretend as if you're doing something stunning, brave, and new simply because you have a black female in the lead in a time period game like this doesn't really say much. Nobody's really going to be excited about this. When you lead a game with marketing over a DEI, you can basically kiss any good press goodbye. You can just kiss it completely goodbye. It is going to be gone with the wind. So let's get into this article, guys, from That Park Place. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. And just look at this character, man. This is the Pokemon Go treatment, right? This is what they do with female characters. No hips, no boobs, no nothing. Man, masculine oriented stance. Gotta make sure they are getting down and dirty with an axe. This is what they do. They tried to make the characters look ultra masculine because at the end of the day, it's about portraying a message for trans people. That's really what it is. Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, from developer A44 Games with the help of Sweet Baby Inc. and publisher Kepler Interactive, releasing abysmal player numbers. According to SteamDB, the game's peak concurrent players in its first 24 hours after release only hit 648. Oh my God. 648 people are playing this game on the first day of release. I'm trying to like get it in my mind that they are okay with losing money, right? Because again, I talk about these things as if I'm running these businesses, right? And that's why I get so frustrated, because at the end of the day, man, it's like, how can you put a game out like this? How can you shill for DEI like this? How can you lead the marketing with DEI and all this nonsense? Who gives a fuck if it's a black female lead character? At the end of the day, you talking about it, you making it about it, you making your entire marketing over the fact that, oh yeah, we got a nice representative black female lead character. You guys are going to love it. It just completely destroys any initial hype that a game could potentially have if you just let the game speak for yourself. These developers are too busy speaking about DEI-oriented bullshit with their video games that they don't let their game actually speak for themselves. So by the time the game comes out, this is what happens. You got less than 1,000 players on a brand new game. And I believe this is a AAA game, right? AA, AAA. I don't really remember. I think it's AAA, though. The fact that you're releasing this game to numbers like this is fucking pathetic. It really is. And it says not only was the number of players abysmal, but the game only ranks in the 85th on Steam's top sellers list, indicating that people are not purchasing this game at all. My God, man. Think about this. 648 players doesn't amount to a lot of money on Steam regarding trying to get their money back. I'm sure they spent way more money than how much they made with 648 people who bought the game, right? Think about all the people who are actually playing on console too. Not too many people are playing there. This game is probably going to be offered on some sort of Game Pass for free, and that's where they're going to try to make their money at. But at the end of the day, man, they're losing money through and through. The developers are losing money. Xbox or PlayStation is paying these developers to offer the game on Game Pass, so they got to pay some money too. They're gonna lose money. Everybody's losing money, and everybody's trying to pretend as if they don't even see the writing on the wall. Like, you guys must realize that after a certain point, you got to talk about business. How are you going to continue to do this nonsense? Again, I'm not saying put a white fucking character in it. What I'm saying is that focus on the game, focus on the story, tell an interesting story. Tell us about the game when you market the game. Don't just tell us about the fact that you have a black female lead now and how stunning you and brave you are. Tell us about the game, get people excited about the game, showcase gameplay more than you did, and just let the game speak for itself at that point. And then what happens is as people play the game, if it's a good game, word of mouth is going to do all the marketing for you. You're not even going to have to do most of the marketing after the first initial push. Word of mouth will do it for you. It says it's no surprise that the game is not being purchased and played given Sweet Baby Inc. worked on the game. The game was added to the Sweet Baby Inc. Detective Steam Curator list, which is the second largest curator on Steam and has over 415,649 people. That's insane. They gained another 15,000 since I last checked. That's nuts. The curator acts as a boycott list for gamers so they can avoid all games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked on that are available on Steam. The list has expanded to include other non-Sweet Baby Inc. games, but push the same woke ideology and DEI agenda as Sweet Baby Inc. Now, what I will say is that for the most part, that Steam curator list is not a boycott list, right? That's not what a curator list is. All it is that the person who makes the list is recommending or not recommending the game. And in this case, they're obviously not recommending the game, but that doesn't mean that every single person on there is going to necessarily boycott the game. Perhaps it's a game that maybe, for the most part, the player decides, okay, the Sweet Baby Inc. stuff is not that dominant in the game. I'm still going to check it out. They have every right to do so, right? So it's not a pure boycott list. It's more just about a transparency list. It's about people finding out what games have been worked on by DEI consultancy firms and whether or not they should potentially avoid them given the game and whatever information they could find on the game. So that's really what this is all about. Flintlock Siege of Dawn was worked on by Sweet Baby Inc. and its CEO, Kim Belair, who, by the way, Kim Belair absolutely self-inserted herself into this game, right? This character is supposed to represent Kim Belair just in battle stance. That's all it is. This was confirmed by former A44 COO Andrea Tops Harjo in an interview with Edge Magazine. The outlet reported for Flintlock, it was Tops Harjo who brought on Kim Belair, the Montreal-based narrative director who has advocated for better representation in stories as a means of bringing new and exciting ideas to games. Yeah, there's nothing new and exciting about this. There's literally nothing new and exciting about this, and it's actually quite boring. And that's because of you. That's because of your own personal ideology. You guys are so fucking boring that representation and sexuality is all you care about, that you're going to base your entire game, your entire personalities, everything around those particular notions, and then look at people and say, why are you not playing my game? Well, that's because it's boring as shit. We can literally see from a mile away just how boring this game is going to be. And half of the time, we don't even have to actually touch the game to realize how terrible it's going to be. Harjo explained she took the wonderful base layer Derek had, which, by the way, that base layer was a white female. Yeah, they took that base layer, the world, and just elevated it. And in their minds, elevating it is turning white females into black females. You know the difference when there's a person who's reflecting at you, and it's true. There's a certain truth that resonates that can't be fake. I know some people won't notice, but the people who are attuned to that, they'll get it immediately. I never quite understood this argument about needing to see yourself and how important that is, because at the end of the day, right, if you're saying that seeing yourself is super important and that people otherwise won't play the game if they can't see themselves, so what you're saying is that you're choosing to ignore all white gamers and trying to go after black gamers, right? Which inherently, from a business model standpoint, statistically speaking, not exactly the smartest thing, because black people are far outnumbered by white people in this country. So if your entire argument is, oh, you need to see yourself in order to attune with the character and enjoy the game, so by you making the character a black female, you're choosing to ignore the majority of the people in the United States and go for the small minority because of what? Representation? Okay, I guess. But then you can't complain about low sales, right? If that's your mindset, if that's your argument, you can't complain about low sales. For me, I don't need to see myself in a character for me to enjoy the character, right? I have read so many stories, I have played so many games, and all the characters do not look like me for the most part. So I don't even care. That's not something that I need in order to enjoy a game. But again, if we're to believe their argument about that, then they are inherently understanding and choosing to go for the minority player base just so they can ignore the majority. That's just statistically, that's the fucking fact. As many people as don't want to admit it, that's the fact. So it doesn't sound like a good business model at the end of the day, but you know what? You're going to do what you want to do regardless, because Sweet Baby Inc. is a company that is completely focused on grifting off of racial, racial, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it DEI. They want to grift on that. That's their money play. That's their money house. That's how it's been for the last few years, and they're going to continue doing that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. If you get to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.